Good afternoon and welcome to another update on my Strength is Within Aconcagua again journey. I'm but now back from and have been back from the Tour Du Mont Blanc for a couple of weeks, and in this video I just want to quickly kind of summarise my experience of the Tour Du Mont Blanc that I did with my friend Paul. Just getting bothered by flies here. So yeah, it was a fantastic 12 days. Flew into Geneva and just spent a day just getting stuff sorted, ready for the tour. And one of the things that we'd overlooked was, even though we're early on in the season, the way round on the tour is you have to stay in, or you don't have to, but it's advisable to stay in refuges along the way if you don't want to take a tent and a sleeping bag. One of the things that we hadn't done because we were planning on winging it on the day was we hadn't bothered to book any of the refuges. So when we got there and were milling around Chamonix on the Wednesday and we chatted to a few people, even though it's quite early season for the Tour du Mont Blanc, we were advised to book the refuges and hotels along the way in advance because it was already pretty busy with the weather being as good as it was. So we spent about 3 or 4 hours booking refuges as a combination of through the Tour du Mont Blanc website, which is very good. It's got a list of all the accommodation on there, or 90% of the accommodation. You also need the Tour du Mont Blanc guidebook as well, which is I think it's Ceruto or something like that, but it's a fantastic guidebook. It's got everything you could possibly need to know in there in terms of location, the route, places you can stay, refreshments and water stops along the way, and the refuges and hotels, and also the approximate distance of each stage depending upon how you want to do it. So we left Chamonix on the the Thursday, I beg your pardon. We stayed in a fantastic hotel in Chamonix for a couple of nights called La Chaumière. It's very, very good. It's just on the outskirts of Chamonix, so it's nice and quiet, but it's reasonably priced. We had a twin room for a couple of nights and also really fantastic breakfast. So if you're looking for somewhere to stay in Chamonix just before you start and finish the Tour du Mont Blanc, then La Chaumière Hotel is a very good place to stay. Anyway, then we got a bus down from Chamonix to Les Ouches, and that's where we started the Tour du Mont Blanc. We took enough kit on our back basically to last the entire 12 days in terms of clothing and so on and so forth. I have put a kit list on my blog, and you can read that on trainstrongpt.co.uk, and if you go into the blog section, there is a Tour du Mont Blanc blog on there which talks in depth about my experience, where we stayed, the stages and the kit that we used as well. But the whole experience was absolutely incredible. The weather was very kind to us. In fact, for my mate Paul, it was too hot. We experienced between sort of 30 and 45 degrees most days. We had a mini heat wave that broke the news in various places, caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, but it meant that our water intake just had to be planned carefully to make sure that on the longer stages we had some water to pick up at the various different refuges or little towns and villages along the way. I think there was only one stage that we struggled particularly, which was towards the end, which was a very long stage, and both of us were hanging out for some water at the end. But when we were chatting amongst ourselves about our experience of the Tour du Mont Blanc and how we anticipated it, it's a hike that needs to be respected. I mean, myself and Paul are both pretty fit guys. Paul ascended Mont Blanc last year on his 3rd attempt. Obviously I've done a fair bit of mountain work over the last few years, but you know, you're trekking anywhere between 15 and 25k a day. I was carrying about 12 kilos on my back, and so it is important to go out there with an understanding that some of those days are pretty challenging. According to the records, over the course of the 10 to 12 days that is recommended to do the Tour du Mont Blanc in, you're looking at gaining about 10,000 metres of elevation gain and also loss as well. So there's a significant amount of climbing there, and it's important to have a good level of mountain fitness before you go out, and by that I mean be used to carrying a reasonable pack for long distances for multiple days is going to be the best way of preparing for that. But also in the gym, making sure that you've got decent amount of leg strength, back strength, hip strength as well, just to deal with the rigours of day-to-day trekking, day in, day out. The refuges that we stayed at were mixed, but on the whole really good. Some of them were better than others. but the whole refuge experience of, you know, meeting up and staying with people you've never met before, the sociable meal times, the simplicity of the food, it all adds to the whole experience of the Tour du Mont Blanc, and it is a really great thing to do. We met some amazing people on the way. Big shout out to Andor, Sandra, David, obviously Paul, who was my trekking mate. Who else did we meet out there? Shane, two of Andor's mates as well. So guys, big shout out to you. You really did make the week. Oh, of course, Sylvia and Simon as well. Fantastic to hang with you guys and to you know, do some trekking with you and find out about your own experiences and reasons for doing the tour. But yeah, we did it in 10 days. I think in hindsight I'd probably do it myself again, going clockwise next time. You can do it 2 ways, and yeah, I'll do it again. I'd be looking to set a bit more of a challenge for myself, so I'd probably aim to get it done in maybe 7 to 9 days instead of 10. Some of the days for me were a little bit short in terms of, you know, how I like to hike, but it was an absolutely mind-blowing experience. The scenery is just incredible. Chamonix and into Italy and Switzerland is just such a mind-blowingly beautiful hike to enjoy and take on. So if you are into doing long distance treks and hiking, then I can highly recommend booking that and having a little adventure doing that. All said and done, it cost me, I think, around about £1,400, which was including the flight, all the accommodation, meals, beers and stuff as well. You can definitely do it cheaper, but on average the spend, I would say, in each refuge was around about €65 per night, which included a 3-course evening meal and a very simple, yeah, let's just say simple breakfast. The breakfast tended to be very dry packets of toast, cakes, biscuits, if you were lucky a bit of yogurt in the more simple high refuges. So if you prefer something a bit more substantial for breakfast and maybe a little bit more healthy, then it's worth taking perhaps a bag of muesli or similar, some dried fruit perhaps, sliced meat and cheese is quite a good option as well. We didn't have those, we made do with a breakfast each day, but it does, you know, all that sweet sugary stuff after a while does get a little bit much on your digestive system. So yeah, so I'm back now. I've been back for a couple of weeks and just been making plans for the next stages of the preparation for my Aconcagua again expedition. Training now is back in full swing, a combination of endurance work and strength training, which I will talk about in another blog. But yeah, Tour du Mont Blanc, fantastic experience, one of the peaks of my life, and a really good base to start my fitness training from for Aconcagua, both in terms of the overall distance covered and the small amount of altitude that we experienced, just to get the body used to dealing with a little bit less oxygen higher up. So anyway, thank you very much for watching my blog again. If you'd like to subscribe to this channel, then please do hit the subscribe. I've also got a GoFundMe page for those people who might be interested in helping me on my journey and supporting me through donations. Any donations are kindly gratefully received and accepted. And notice that on my GoFundMe page, which is GoFundMe Strength is Within Aconcagua again, I do offer various services in return for donations of certain tiers, so have a look at that. But if you are enjoying my journey and wish to help me out more, then any donations are massively gratefully received, and I will look forward to speaking to you in the next update. Ciao.